The Reserve of India Governor Shaktikanta Das says India expected to post a sharp turnaround in the financial year 2022 with 7.4% growth. Addressing the media on various measures to boost the economy, the RBI Governor announces refinancing of NABARD, SIDBI and the NHB, reduces the reverse repo rate by 25 basis points. Prime Minister Modi says today's announcements by the RBI will greatly enhance liquidity and improve the credit supply. Says these steps would help the small businesses, the MSMEs, the farmers and the poor, and it will also help all the states by increasing ways and means advances limits. Government takes several steps for prevention, containment and management of COVID-19 through a collective effort with the states and the union territories. The group of ministers meets in New Delhi. Union Health Minister holds video conferencing with the health functionaries and the senior officials as well as field officers of the World Health Organization as the containment measures for COVID-19 in India. Cabinet Secretary writes to all the states and the union territories to ensure safety, shelter and food security of the migrant labourers, urges states to direct all the district collectors to immediately review the situation. All the states asked to undertake a comprehensive enumeration of the migrant labourers and stranded persons. The total number of active COVID-19 cases in India crosses the 11,000 with 437 deaths, over 1,700 persons cured and discharged. Maharashtra remains worst hit while situation in Kerala improves. Confirmed cases of COVID-19 crossed 21,50,000 the world over. Over 1,45,000 global deaths reported from the pandemic. United States remains the worst hit with over 33,000 deaths. Two terrorists gunned down in an encounter with the security forces in Shopian in Jammu and Kashmir. The Army Chief General says it is unfortunate that Pakistan is still engaged in promoting terror when the whole world is battling the COVID pandemic. Hello and good afternoon. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli. A top story. Amid the novel coronavirus pandemic, the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das met the media in a special press conference on various measures to boost the economy. The RBI Governor expressed his gratitude to the healthcare workers. He said the central bank is monitoring the situation very closely. He also added that the Indian economy is expected to record a sharp turnaround at 7.4% in 2021-22 period.
On April 14, the IMF released its global growth projections, revealing that in 2020, global economy is expected to plunge into the worst recession since the Great Depression, far worse than what had happened during the global financial crisis. The IMF's economic counselor has named it the Great Lockdown, estimating the cumulative loss to global GDP over 2020 and 21 at around $9 trillion, which is greater than the economies of Japan and Germany combined. Within this downturn, the projections are replete with even sharper declines in output in various countries. India is among the handful of countries that is projected to cling on somewhat tenuously to positive growth at 1.9%. In fact, this is the highest growth rate among the G20 economies as estimated by the IMF. India is expected to post a sharp turnaround and resume its pre-COVID, pre-slowdown trajectory by growing at 7.4% in 2021-22.
The RBI Governor also said that the sowing of the Kharif crops is better than the last year.
In my statement of March 27, I had referred to continuing resilience of agriculture and allied activities on the back of all-time highs in production of food grains and horticulture, with huge buffer stocks of rice and wheat far in excess of the buffer norms. By April 10, pre-monsoon Kharif sowing had begun strongly, with acreage of paddy, which as you know is the principal Kharif crop, up by 37% in comparison with the last season, that is in comparison with the Kharif of 2019. States such as West Bengal, Telangana, Odisha, Assam, Karnataka and Chhattisgarh are leading in sowing activity despite the lockdown. On April 15, the India Meteorological Department IMD forecast a normal southwest monsoon for 2020 season, with rainfall expected to be 100% of the long period average.
The RBI governor also said that the forex reserves stood at 476.5 billion, which is equivalent to 11 months import. He also said that the banks are operating smoothly and that the ATMs are also being filled regularly.
The level of foreign exchange reserves which we have continue to be robust at US dollar 476.5 billion on April 10th, equivalent to 11.8 months of imports. RBI has taken a number of steps to ensure normal business functioning by the entire banking sector. As a result, payment infrastructure is running seamlessly. Banks have been required to put in place business continuity plans to operate from their disaster recovery sites and or to identify alternate locations for critical operations so that there is no disruption in customer services. Our data show that there was no downtime of internet or mobile banking. On an average, ATM operations stood at 91% of the full capacity. Banks have indeed risen to the occasion by refilling the ATMs regularly despite several logistical challenges. Surplus liquidity in the banking system has increased sharply in the wake of sustained government spending. Systemic liquidity surplus as reflected in net absorption under the LAF averaged at about rupees 4.36 lakh crore during the period March 27th to April 14, 2020.
The RBI has reduced the reverse repo rate by 25 basis points, while there has been made no change in the repo rate and the cash reserve ratio.
On April 15th, the RBI absorbed rupees 6.9 lakh crore through the reverse repo window. So that much of surplus was available with the system. Now, in order to encourage the banks to deploy these surplus funds in investments and loans in productive sectors of the economy, it has been decided to reduce the fixed rate reverse repo rate under the liquidity adjustment facility by 25 basis points from 4% to 3.75% with immediate effect. The policy repo rate, however, remains unchanged at 4.4% because that is a matter which is decided by the MPC, and also the marginal standing facility rate and bank rate, they also remain unchanged at 4.65%.
Shaktikanta Das expressed hope that the inflation may settle below target of 4% by the first half of the financial year 21, barring any supply side disruption and shocks.
The early developments suggest that inflation is on a declining trajectory, having fallen by 170 basis points from its January 2020 peak. In the period ahead, inflation could recede even further, barring of course any supply side disruption shocks, and may even settle well below the target of 4% by the second half of 2021. Such an outlook would make policy space available to address the intensification of risks to growth and financial stability brought about by COVID-19.
And Prime Minister Modi has hailed the measures announced by the Reserve Bank of India. In a tweet, the Prime Minister said, I quote, "Today's announcements by the RBI will greatly enhance liquidity and improve the credit supply. These steps would help our small businesses, the MSMEs, the farmers and the poor. It will also help all the states by increasing the WMA limits," unquote. Now, the number of active cases of COVID-19 in India has gone up to 11,201, while 1,748 people have been cured and discharged. 437 have succumbed to the COVID pandemic. Maharashtra remains the worst hit state with 3,205 cases and 194 deaths, followed by the national capital Delhi reporting 1,640 cases and 38 deaths. Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu have also reported more than 1,000 cases so far. And the union group of ministers met at Nirman Bhavan in the national capital Delhi to discuss the situation of COVID-19 in the country. The meeting was attended by the Chief of the Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan, External Affairs Minister S. J. Shankar and other ministers. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reviewed the activities of the armed forces, medical services and their assistance to civilian authorities to contain the spread of COVID-19 in the country. And Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan had held a video conferencing with the LPG cylinder delivery boys from across the country, describing them as the frontline soldiers and corona fighters in the time of unprecedented crisis. The minister said that the whole nation acknowledges their contribution. He added that in such times they are delivering up to 60 lakh cylinders every day, sometimes even endangering their own lives. The minister also asserted that many of them are making the customers aware about social distancing, benefiting also the benefit of installing the Arogya Setu app in their phones and paying through the digital modes. Even some delivery boys have stated that they have contributed to the Prime Minister Cares Fund and are helping the poor and the elderly while discharging their duties. They also thanked the Government of India and the oil marketing companies for providing insurance to them and also making provisions of ex gratia payment. Now, in its facts check, the government has clarified that the message getting viral asking for registering account for Pradhan Mantri Yojana 2020 is fake. In a picture message on MyGov, it said that the advertisement is fake that states that the government is extending a help of 15,000 rupees, and for getting this, one needs to click on a link. So that news is fake and that has been clarified by the government. So make sure that you and those around you do not fall trap to that misinformation that's floating around. And well, the government has also issued a picture stating that guidelines to be followed at the workplace. Well, these include adequate arrangement for temperature screening and sanitizers, ensuring social distancing norms, the gap of 1 hour between the shifts, encouraging the use of Arogya Setu application, and persons above the age of 65 and parents of children below 5 years encouraged to work from home, and all the organizations to sanitize their workplaces between the shifts. And lastly, large meetings must be prohibited at any cost. And the government has also issued a picture stating what all commercial services that may be allowed after the 20th of this month. While what all public utilities are allowed after the 20th has also been clearly mentioned by the government, and some of those include the online educational services, the Manrega works and the operations of ONG, power, postal services, water, sanitation, waste management, telecom and internet services. And the Government of India has been giving a great deal of importance to the welfare of the migrant laborers and stranded persons during the implementation of the lockdown measures for containment of COVID-19 in the country. The Cabinet Secretary has written to all the states and the Union Territories to ensure effective implementation of the detailed guidelines issued by the Home Affairs Ministry for ensuring safety, shelter and food security of the migrant laborers. The Cabinet Secretary has urged that all the districts may undertake a comprehensive enumeration of the migrant laborers and those stranded and make all the necessary arrangements for providing food and shelter for them. Also, psychosocial counseling may also be provided to such persons as per guidelines issued by the Health Ministry in this regard. The deadly novel coronavirus has infected over 21.6 lakh people across the globe and left over 1.45 lakh dead. The worst affected still remains the US, which has recorded over 6,71,425 confirmed cases and 33,286 deaths due to COVID-19 so far. The recoveries have also been registered at 56,236. And amidst the crisis, the U.S. President Donald Trump has issued guidelines under which the U.S. state governors could act to revive the U.S. economy from the shutdown in a staggered three-stage process. Speaking at his daily briefing on the COVID-19, Trump argued that a prolonged shutdown could be deeply harmful to the U.S. economy and the society.
Our country has suffered. The world has suffered. 184 other countries have suffered. Therefore, my administration is issuing new federal guidelines that will allow governors to take a phased and deliberate approach to reopening their individual states. Our approach outlines 3 phases in restoring our economic life. We are not opening all at once, but one careful step at a time. And some states will be able to open up sooner than others.
And the second worst affected is Spain, with the overall number of infections rising to 184,948 and the death toll rising to 19,315. The recoveries there have also been registered at 74,797. Spain's health minister has said that the contagion curve was descending since the end of March, but health experts say it is too early to say that the trend will not change. And after the US and Spain, Italy is the third country with the highest number of COVID-19 cases. According to the tally of Johns Hopkins University, the total number of positive COVID-19 cases in Italy stood at 168,941. The number of fatalities in Italy stood at 22,170, while 40,164 persons have recovered so far. And as Italy continues its 6th week in a nationwide lockdown mode, the swabs for the citizens and sanitization of everything from streets to shops to hospitals have become the new norm. In France, the COVID-19 outbreak has claimed another 774 lives in the last 24 hours, bringing the country's total fatalities to 17,941. According to the health ministry, the number of virus patients hospitalized dropped by 474 and the number in critical care also declined by 209. The total number of infections stands at 147,091. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has fired his health minister after weeks of infighting and threats over the country's coronavirus strategy. He was replaced by Nelson Teich, an oncologist who supported Bolsonaro's presidential campaign as well. Now, the spread of COVID-19 in Brazil has accelerated to 30,425 confirmed cases, with around 200 fatalities per day, bringing the death toll to 1,924 by Thursday. Russian President Vladimir Putin has postponed the 9th May Victory Day parade in Moscow's Red Square because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And while this year also sees the 75th anniversary of the Soviet victory in World War II, and the annual military parade has not been postponed before. 27,938 confirmed cases have been reported in Russia so far, while 232 people have also lost their lives due to COVID-19 pandemic. And more updates from across the world. United Kingdom has extended the nationwide lockdown measures for at least 3 more weeks, and stand-in leader Dominic Raab asked people to stay at home in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Britain has registered 13,759 deaths till now and has more than 1 lakh active cases. And getting you news now from back home, 2 terrorists have been gunned down in an encounter with the security forces in Shopian in Jammu and Kashmir. The encounter happened at the village of Diyaru Kelar in Shopian. Around 2 to 3 militants were trapped in the village. We're given to understand that encounter is in progress as more militants are believed to be trapped in the village. Now, the Army Chief, along with the Northern Army Commander Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi and Chinar Co-Commander Lieutenant General B.S. Raju visited the formations and the units in the Kashmir Valley. The Army Chief, remember, is on a 2-day visit to Kashmir to review the prevailing security situation there. While interacting with the Jawans, he highlighted that it was the dawn of a new era of development, peace and prosperity in Kashmir, and also applauded them for their high level of morale and motivation. The Army Chief said that the violence in the valley has come down drastically after the abrogation of Article 370 in August last year.
Post-abrogation of the Article 370, the violence levels have come down drastically. And I say this not only in a subjective manner, but based on very objective figures that we have of various parameters of violence, whether it is stone pelting, whether it is terrorist-initiated incidents, all these have seen a drastic drop.
And he also said that it's unfortunate that while India is exporting medicines and other aids to fight COVID-19 pandemic, our neighbor is only exporting the menace of terror.
It is very unfortunate that at a time when the whole world and India is fighting this menace of this pandemic, that our neighbor continues to try to foment trouble, while we are busy not only helping our own citizens, but the rest of the world by sending out medical teams and even exporting medicines. On the other hand, Pakistan is only exporting terror, which does not augur well. And the responsibility for maintaining peace, the onus is on Pakistan.
The Army Chief also informed that there are only 8 COVID-19 positive cases in the entire Indian Army, of which 1 has recovered and even joined the duty.
The first case that we had was there in Ladakh, UT. I'm happy to say that after his treatment and his stay in the hospital, he's been tested thrice and he's totally now coronavirus free, and he's in fact rejoined duty. Based on this, we have been passing a number of instructions and advisories to all our commands to take suitable precautions and to preserve the integrity of our force. And we have been quite successful to that extent. And so far, we have only had 8 positive cases, out of whom 2 are doctors and 1 are nursing assistant, but they are medical personnel, and 4 were responding well to treatment.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news, but news and updates will continue here on Doordarshan News and DD India. Thanks for being with us for the moment.